So I'm going to go ahead and walk you through a couple of troubleshooting things to do if for some reason Easybib does not come up with the source that you're looking for. So the first one I'm going to do is if you find a journal entry, but for whatever reason Easybib does not like it. So if you hit journal and say you tried to search it and you couldn't find it anywhere no matter how much you searched, we're going to go ahead and create a manual citation. Now this can be frustrating because it does take time, but it is important. So first of all, we found this online, which we did. So it was originally in print but found online. And how do we know that? Because if you look here, and this is what you really need to look for, we know it was in a journal, but we know here that it was published in August 8th of 2018. So when we go to enter this, we're going to look at the author. So the main author is here, Scott A. Johnson. So we have first name Scott A. Johnson. Make sure it's spelled correctly. So then you're going to keep filling out. So your journal title here is going to be this. And what I like to do, if you can, I just try to copy paste. I don't like to try to type it all myself. Boom. So here's where you have to pay attention though, and this is where you have to enter by hand. So the volume number, usually you can find it here. So here we have volume 6, issue 4 of 2018. So volume 6, issue 4, and it doesn't specify a series, so I'm not going to put a series. Sometimes it will be part of a very specific series, but for the most part, that's not going to be something you find. If it says that it's part of a series, go ahead and enter that in. And then it's going to want to know the day it was published, which I believe we saw here. It said August 8th. Just know, sometimes it will not give you the exact date, and that is okay. As long as you know the month, that is significantly more important. A lot of articles will just say it was published in August of whatever year that it was submitted. Now, this is very important. Think about the pages that you're using, because you're not going to use everything in the article. So look here at the bottom. So we started at page 269. And since I'm going to reference the entire article, I probably won't go this far unless I'm intentionally using the references themselves. So you can either A, stop where you used it, which would be probably at 275, but I would quote the whole article because there's a good chance what you're quoting in the article came from a resource that they found. So we're going to go, what did I say? Oh, all kinds of out of whack here. All right, 269. All the way to 278. So 269 all the way to 278. Now this right here, pages are non-consecutive. This is the kind of thing you would use if there were pictures separating the article that you were not going to use a quote, in which case then you could select that. But that's not the case. You're using all these pages. Now this part is a little bit important. So you're going to go ahead and copy this whole thing. And this is the URL, but the website title is important. So this one is researchgate.net. That is their website title. Published sponsor. You can look that up. I think they also published as well. Let me see. So I actually think, now that I say this out loud, and this is why it's important to look over your stuff. We may have found it here, but the publisher themselves is actually probably this journal is the one who published it with the help of MedCrave. So what I would do to be safe is the publisher is more likely MedCrave and leave it as such because we already know based on here this is the journal title. Now it was electronically published. If it does not say, unfortunately you just have to go with what you can. So I went ahead and I'm going to put it as 2018 since that also happens to be the date that it was normally published. If you can find when it was published online, that's much better, but this is still okay. Now this, the DOI, this is interesting. Not all of them will list the DOI for you, but sometimes if you're scrolling through, you can find it. So right here, if you're looking down at the citation that they have, the DOI, boom, this is it. It's very hard to find. It is not simple. Usually it's down here in their citation. And notice the citation they have here. It's not always going to have that. They won't list it as such. This is not in the proper formatting. This is the formatting that they use, and it's just kind of long-winded. You're going to want to put it in here so it is properly formatted. So DOI, there it is. Sure, get rid of those extra pieces. Okay, so complete the citation. Oh, so I have ad blocker, as you can see, so it's not going to let it pull it up. But normally that's when you would go ahead and it would pull up your citation for you. So now we're going to go back, because what do we do if instead of a journal, we're dealing with a government document? So the census is a really popular one. There's a huge amount of data in the census. So go under more, and this is really important too, because this can help you find what you're looking for more precisely if you can find it in a general search. If you're looking for a newspaper, if it's a film, if you found it in an online database, that one's not as likely. Advertisements, but more importantly is a little bit further, because federal and government bills are weird. Executive orders have their own, federal bills are their own, federal reports, but this is not a federal report. You want government publication. So normally you could just type in census and typically it would come up. But for this particular case, you might want to go ahead and create a manual citation. Oops. Sorry about that. So we're going to go ahead and create a manual citation. So we got it from a website. It's from United States agency. Right here is where you should start looking. So these are the people that wrote it, but the agency itself, this is the U.S. government. And in particular, you want to write the U.S. Department of Commerce or the U.S. Census Bureau, depending on where you're looking at. But the U.S. Census Bureau is going to be the one you're probably going to want to write, because they're the ones that actually publish this. So agency. Oh, nope, there it is. So as you can see, United States Census Bureau, U.S. Department of Commerce. So the authors, here's where it gets tricky. If you'll notice, there are several. So you're going to want to do them in order that they're listed. So I'm lazy, so I like to copy paste, cut, paste. Once that's there, what you can do is add another contributor. And this is important because this will auto format for you, because after a certain amount of authors, it will format it differently than if you only had one or two. So once you've entered in all the names, you're going to come down here. So the site or publication title. This one in particular is Income and Poverty in the United States as of 2018. So I'm going to go ahead and put that here. The publisher is, of course, the U.S. State Census Bureau, or United States Census Bureau. And then for the URL, you're just going to copy exactly where that came from, post it there. Now this one can be tricky. I don't know if this one says, okay, so this one does say issued, but it is important to note you want to use this revised version, because even though it was issued in this time, this means that any updates that came in later than September, maybe because people were late to submit their census information or new information came to light, this is where they need to do it. So you want June of 2020. And this is what I was saying about the day. There's no day, so it's just simply June of 2020 was the most recent update. And then once that's all done, you can go ahead and complete the citation, and then you're good to go. So the last one I will do real quickly here is organizations. That is another one that can be very difficult to do. So those will often require a manual entry as well. So for this one, say that we're going to look at the APA. So the APA is the American Psychological Association. So this in particular is more of an article, but it's an article that uses resources and it's written by individuals with PhDs. So this was created back in 2013, so recovering from emotional disaster. So this might be something that I want to do, so I'm going to go ahead and do more. And if you can't find an article, because sometimes articles are a little weird and they don't just come up on their own, go ahead and look and check here if it's part of a larger series as in a publication or not. And if it is not, sometimes you come and face the issue of, well, let's just go ahead and put this as, unfortunately, a website. So you're using it from the website. We're going to create the manual citation again because you couldn't find it. So this article title, same thing we were doing before. Go ahead and copy the title. Then you can paste it into here. Same thing. You can fill out any authors that they have. You have the website title. Now here's where it's important. So your publisher or sponsor, this is where you put the organization. They're the ones that created it. So in this case, I would put the American Psychological Association. And then I would put them here. I would list the website and the URL where I got it from, the publishing date. And then sometimes if you used other annotations, you can, but if not, you can create that. So I hope that helps. Just know that typically speaking, it won't be a website. If you're taking from an organization, usually they have journals. But if for some reason you can't find journals, go ahead and list it as a website because that's mostly of what you're doing. I hope that was really helpful. I hope that helps you figure out what you need to do in case you kind of have to troubleshoot. And if you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to email Ms. Armstrong or myself.